All right, Sanjay Agarwal is joining us. He's the president of PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Very good evening, Sanjay. Thanks for taking the time out and joining us on this particular broadcast. Now, a lot has been spoken about, Sanjay, as far as what the industry wants and what the industry has got. We've got corporate voices as well. But let's first, I know you're representing the industry in India Incorporated, but first I'd like to come to you on the Aam Aadmi. There was a fair bit of confusion whether it is petrol, diesel and alcohol. There was a lot of misinformation on this has become more expensive. But the fact of the matter is, as far as the end consumer is concerned, he is not going to be bearing the brunt of this additional cess that has been imposed, right? If you could just clarify that for the common man first before we get to the industry and whether or not you are satisfied with it.
No, I think my information is also similar to yours as of now, because I've not had a time to actually see the fine print. But this is the broad understanding that I have also been given. So I think on that front, there is no need to worry for the common man.
So for the common man, there is no need to worry. As far as India Incorporated is concerned, are you happy? You're speaking as the voice of India Incorporated on this show.
I'm speaking as a voice of India Incorporated and especially the voice of MSMEs in India Incorporated.
Absolutely.
I think we represent more than 1.5 lakh enterprises of all sizes. Let me just say that the economy has borne a lot of beating in the last 1 year over the COVID pandemic, and it's nothing special that has happened to our country alone. It's happened around the world.
Yeah.
What is really going to count now is how we strategize our way to come out of these difficulties. And I think the budget seems to be a step in the right direction. There is a huge focus on infrastructure and investment. This is what is going to create the jobs, and this is what is every rupee spent into infrastructure and investment is what is going to give us the best multiplier of hopefully 2.5 rupees for every 1 rupee spent or invested. I think that is the focus that we needed. There is a huge amount of money that is being allocated to construction of roads, ports, airports, railways. I think everything is in lakhs of crores and the numbers are truly encouraging, but still, on behalf of the business community, on what the chamber has very strongly been recommending to the government throughout this year, especially during the budget discussions, we have been of the view that the economy can basically be revived by a very strong push into the infrastructure sector. We are looking at some good numbers coming out of this budget. The 20,000 crore investment into DFI, which will then generate 5 lakh crore, is fine. But national infrastructure pipeline is 111 lakh crores, which has to be spent over 5 years.
Yeah.
And it cannot be backloaded anymore. So you need to spend 25, 30 lakh crores in the very first year. So we need to do this raising of funds from international markets, from disinvestment, and maybe slightly from budget deficit also, although it can't be too much.
Right.
But that is what is required for the economy to rebound, for the employment to happen again, and for the standards of living to be up to where we need.
I just want to go across to Vaishali Nigam Sinha as well, Chief Sustainability Officer at Renew Power. I do not want to speak specifically of the power sector here, but overall, I want to understand macroeconomically as well. Let's take a look, because there are enhanced expenditure and this is an expansionary budget. I'm sure all of you agree that this had to be an expansionary budget because India is coming off the entire pandemic, which means that all the measures that have been announced mean that the fiscal deficit target for FY22 is 6.8% of the GDP. For FY21, that deficit estimate has been revised to 9.5% from 3.5% of the GDP. You are seeing an expansion as well in the fiscal deficit targets. But do you foresee on the back of these numbers, there's going to be a challenge going forward for the years to come post FY22?
Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me on this show. You know, what I'd like to say is, first of all, let me congratulate the finance minister for presenting almost a perfect budget. And so that's really been great. I think she did it in a very structured way. It was a very holistic budget. And it was a very difficult year. We're coming out of a major pandemic. Honestly, I think if I could take a step back and say that even during the pandemic, the performance of the policymakers has been pretty amazing. You know, we've come back with a V-shaped curve, which is fantastic. You know, I was just looking at the list of things I would have liked of this budget and what was delivered. And it's really been, you know, fantastic in terms of well balanced, looking at, you know, not changing the taxes, you know, making sure that, you know, we focused on lives and livelihoods. You know, there were small bits in the budget which got a smile on the face of, you know, our elderly who've had a really terrible year, you know, with them being all cooped up and locked.
They don't have to pay their taxes if they're above 75, and that's a big news for them. That's really a reason to cheer for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think we've gone through a pretty difficult year. And we've seen that it was very difficult. So as they say, I think it was a short speech, which was fantastic. And, you know, I think there was, you know, everybody went in with low expectations. So that was one thing which happened. And what we got was, it's like going for a movie, you know, you go in with low expectations, you don't come out disappointed. I saw there was a little bit of lack of Bollywood here, but I think is budget mein sabke liye khushiyan hi khushiyan hai. And I think there's been a good balance of addressing the needs of the common man and also of the businesses. But let me tell you, so, you know, I think people have talked enough about what they've liked about the budget, right? Whether it was the basic infrastructure around healthcare, which has been addressed, the Atmanirbhar Bharat.
The infrastructure push as well.
The infrastructure push, decision to implement NIP projects, that'll have a huge multiplier effect on
and I think, and I'm sorry about interruption, but the big announcement on the LIC IPO and divestment of public sector banks, two of them, was also quite a reason to cheer on the revenue side for the budget, right?
Absolutely, and also the increase in you know, investment in you know, in your the increase in your FDI and insurance to 74%.
From 74%. It's gone up.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's fantastic. And I know for many years, people have been sitting and watching, and that's going to have an impact on the equity markets, as you know, as well. So, you know, that's been very encouraging. I think all the, you know, international investors are also cheering. Markets are cheering. I think there have been PLI schemes which have been identified, you know, to transform global India as a global manufacturing hub. So from a time where we were all so nervous about being able to, you know, import PPE and all of that, we exported. Now that's being backed up by policy measures here in the budget. I mean, let's not forget the budget is a, you know, statement of vision, but it's just showing to us that we are in the right direction. We are taking this whole narrative of India will get well soon and quite robustly in a post-COVID world. But can I just come back and make a couple of points on what is it that we could have done a little bit better?
Sure, go for it.
Yeah, so I think, and I'll go for it, given that, you know, I always am very excited, whatever the finance minister presents, but just seeing a dynamic woman present the budget and is always, you know, it's bold, it's brilliant.
Yes.
It's a beautiful budget. So more power to her. But unfortunately, I think we sometimes forget somewhere that, you know, I think if we look at engaging more women at the workplace in a far more, I know there's been the Rashtra Poshan Abhiyan 2.0, there was an announcement for gig workers, contract workers, all well noted. You know, Ujjwal scheme, hopefully it's going to get women to get healthier and not inhale pollution and all of that. But I still feel that we really need to juice this 770 billion contribution to the GDP, if we advance gender parity at the workplace, overall speaking, I think by 2025, we really need to contribute to this SDG 5. I didn't see enough there. I would have liked to see enough happening there. So I think that's one thing. And also on, if I could bring in on the green front, it was good to see the Swachh Bharat and all the sort of positive steps for pollution. But I'm going to be watching this very carefully because there's been a lot of talk, but really just like the disinvestments for many years, there's a lot of
They've been talking about, but they've been missing targets on that front. So you want to see the implementation take place, and that's when there will be reason to cheer for you as well. Vaishali, I take your point, and very good point brought out by Vaishali right there. While she has a reason to cheer, while she's brought out the amazing parts of the budget in terms of the allocation and the infrastructure push and the agriculture push, whether it is healthcare push as well, there are two very specific concerns that she's brought to the fore. And Rajiv Pratap Rudy, of the Bharatiya Janata Party. He's an MP of the Bharatiya Janata Party. He joins us on the phone. All right, he joins us live. Mr. Rudy, we're getting industry voices congratulating you on a fantastic budget. So big congratulations going out to you, Rajiv Pratap Rudy, on this fantastic budget. But there are two specific concerns that Vaishali Nigam Sinha of Renew Power just brought forth, that not much she feels was done to give an impetus to women in the budget. Can we hope to see perhaps a more women-friendly budget, what she hopes, in the next financial year, possibly, because this year was a budget which was coming on the back of a pandemic?
Perfect. What you're saying today is exactly that it's a fantastic budget, and one must see that the constraints in which this budget has been presented, and it's not a normal situation. And having said that, there could be specific issues about women, about welfare, and so forth and so on. So I would presume that if you have to look at the budget, you have to look at it holistically. You cannot look at it in individual aspects, because it's all depends if the glass is half empty or glass is half full. And if you look at the infrastructure part, even if they have talked about nutrition 2.0, so that is one thing which has been incorporated, and this huge enhancement of the overall budget for preventive and curative and well-being also, I presume, includes this particular aspect about women.
All right.
So I would not go into that specific.
The other concern that Vaishali just brought forth was about the implementation of all the visions. So while the budget happens to be a vision document in terms of what we're doing with the money as a country and what we'd like to achieve with the money, the fact is, in terms of disinvestments, we do know, even before the pandemic, I know the pandemic has been a bad year, but even before the pandemic, we saw some missed targets when it came to disinvestment, and hence on the revenue front we saw a fair bit of an impact right there. This time around, how confident are you of the implementation of the said vision by the finance minister?
You see, agreed. Now, when the government has itself planned to increase the capital expenditure from 4.39 to a whopping figure of 5.54, and we have visualized in the budget that we are seeing that there is a deficit. Now the government has to do some management, and of course disinvestment or privatization, whatever you want to call it, has to be an integral feature, whether it's through savings, whether it's insurance, and wherever it has to warp up money, it has to warp up. But then it's going to be a inflationary budget of a sort which needs to be contained in the next 3 years, and that is what the finance minister mentioned. So I don't actually, this is an experiment of a different order where such a situation has the government or the country has never witnessed so. But nonetheless, what we saw is a huge investment in infrastructure, huge investment in social health, and huge right up to the primary health care, secondary, tertiary health care. And then you go to the infrastructure, and then you further proceed to many more issues which the government has independently addressed them. So if when they talk about the Bharatmala and then investments in the states, of course, politics does play a role, because there are states which are going to the election. But nonetheless, Railways has found its position, but it was not spelt out much in the budget, but we have to look to the power, which of course, we have gone up to 139 gigawatts has been added. Now that discoms are under stress, and the government has again provided about 1.4 lakh crores for LT circuits, which is another essential connectivity which is required. So there is, and to put up frameworks. Now discoms and an option for a customer or a consumer to in future to have an option of choosing a discom is something very innovative. It's very difficult, and the whole game plan or it has to be shipping, of course, see some interesting investments. So and suppose when we talk about this voluntary disposal of vehicles, 15 years and 20 years or something like that. So all these innovations have been put in, and once we get into the details, we'll come to know about it. 1,000 crores for solar and 1,500 crores for air. So
I got your point. No, absolutely.
Made an attempt to put a recipe together.
And that's rather very convincing. I must say, Rajiv Pratap Rudy, that is rather very convincing. It's not been an easy task. Let's just spur it straight out there for the finance minister as well, because you're coming out of the pandemic. It was a hugely
the last point which I said
task for her. Yeah, go on.
Last point about the Finance Commission report and that 46% which has to devolve to the states, the government has on the floor of the House said that we are going to maintain that. So that is, with that limitation, to put a budget and manage deficit is of course a very challenging task. But I'm sure the government, with the leadership of the Prime Minister, we have seen and it's talked about 2 banks being privatized. We really do not know which are the 2 banks and an insurance company. So all these are a part of the larger planned program and the recipe which the government has figured out. But then we have to see how they roll out, how the discussion takes place, and there are financial reforms which are there.
Yeah.
And then she has mentioned very specifically about agriculture and the MSP and about how wheat procurement and paddy procurement, all this has had a positive impact. Pulses and cotton, how from in 90 crores in 13-14 it went up to about 25,000 crores of cash going. So there are many issues. If you look at the pulses itself, if you look at wheat itself, the paddy of course was in 13-14 about 63,000 crores went to the farmers. Now it has gone to a whopping figure of 1,72,000 crores. So these are matchless expenditures which is going to the which has
But
gone
you know,
or shall be
just
going,
to play
and
devil's
in future
advocate
these
right here, since you
figures
mentioned about wheat as well, the wheat purchases from farmers has been up to 75,000 crore rupees this year from 33,000 crore rupees in FY14. But you know, one has to keep in mind the price of wheat then, now, and the rate of increase as well, and then that figure goes into perspective too. Rajiv Pratap Rudy.
Agreed. I'm not disagreeing, but you see the whopping amount, which is the large amount which government through procurement of MSP, which has gone manifold, and what we have promised that whatever was the price whatever is the cultivation price, we are paying almost 1.5 on all the products and some even more produce and some even more. So there are issues there which we have seen, and we now also. We have created a credit facility for the farmers to the tune of 16.5 lakh crores.
Yeah.
Now, isn't it a part of a larger flow of funds or liquidity to the agrarian side?
Yeah.
And then, of course, RIDF has been increased from 20,000 crores to 30,000 crores. So,
and you know, Rajiv, I would completely agree that all of those are fantastic moves in the vision document that has been presented by the finance minister. Now, I want to come to the politicking of it because, you know, we were expecting the Congress spokesperson to join us. He will be joining us in just about a bit. But you are facing flak and opposition coming in from the Congress party and many other parties as well on the back of the new highway project that has been announced for the poll-bound states, particularly Tamil Nadu and West Bengal. How do you respond to it?
That's the choice of the government. And if it is Tamil Nadu, if it's Kerala, the elections in Bihar are over, but I don't feel that we do not have the share of which is there.
Yeah.
It's the prerogative of the government, and we need to, and if things have not been done there, let it happen. Why? It's a part of the country, whether it's a road from Kanyakumari to Mumbai. Why should I be happy with the people of Maharashtra right up to Kerala traveling on that? So let's not put it. If there are centers of excellence happening in Gujarat, it's my country. Why shouldn't I feel nice about it? So why should we become so divisive and say that A state or a B state? Now, for a small reason, I should have been aggrieved because they said tree planters 1,000 crores in Assam and West Bengal.
Right.
Bihar also has a minuscule of tree planters, and of course Meghalaya, Sikkim, and all that. So these are small things which can always be pointed out to the government. So this is the eastern which is in a stress, and the tea states are in a stress. The tea planters and those who work there are in stress. So we can always make this is not the end of it. The government is, you see, one thing.
You know,
which
so Rajiv Pratap Rudy, point taken, and I'm going to let the Congress person talk to you about this or respond on the show if and when he comes. But at the moment, yes, point taken completely. Rachit Chawla, the founder and CEO of Finway Financial, is also on the broadcast, I'm being told. Rachit Chawla, we've got the Sensex and the Nifty. They're soaring high on the back of this budget announcement. It's very rare that you'll see both the benchmark indices ending in the green. And this time around, ending in the green, and how? The Sensex is up 5% and Nifty up 4.74% in the closing. But does this really reflect the fundamentals? What is going on here? On one hand, we're speaking of the economic fundamentals that are not very great. We are pumping in money to make this expansionary, to increase the expenditure as well. And on the other side, the markets have been performing phenomenally well. If you could put that point into perspective for our viewers?
Yeah, sure. So thank you for having me on this show. So the way stock market works is it always takes into account future perspective. It never works what is going to happen now.
Yeah.
In fact, if you talk about the V-shaped recovery when COVID happened, so markets actually started to crash way before. So it never crashed when we were stuck in the lockdown, right? So what happens is the sentiment is very optimistic. And what I really love about this government is that our Union Finance Minister, she has been constantly telling everybody that this time it's going to be a historic budget. And historic it is indeed, because 5% Nifty and 8% Bank Nifty is actually historic in itself. The last time I remember these figures were around corporate tax rate cut. So believe you me, a lot of people have created a lot of money today who believe by the words of our Union Finance Minister, and the market trended in one single direction the entire day. That means turn by turn, the government presented the budget in such a well-structured manner that there were no surprises. The government gave every single point in a clear, crystal format. Moreover, every time the government presents out a budget, it always talks about at a macro level, whereas today for a change I noticed that she has also pointed out certain execution level which needs to be worked at the ground level, which is very, very good.
Right.
For,
I also, since you're
this
talking about the
industry.
markets, Rachit, I want to draw your attention to explain to our viewers what's going on. Why is the BankX doing so phenomenally well? Why are the banking counters reacting so positively to this particular budget? Is it because the 20,000 crore rupees injection in the state-owned banks to recapitalize them, or the LIC IPO? What is the trigger?
Actually, many points. To start with, number one is the capital infra push. Everybody understands if the government plans to really push the infra, it's going to actually, a lot of liquidity is what the government is promising, that they will be pumping in the economy as a whole. So that is number one. Number two is that they actually announced a widely acclaimed move of raising the FDI limit from 49% to 74%. Now the revised structure directs that the positions of majority directors and key management be filed with resident Indians. So that means at least 50% of the directors has to be independent directors.
Yeah.
This has again given a lot of boost to the insurance industry itself.
Yeah, I
That
saw
means
the insurance stocks soaring sky high today.
Absolutely, and this means there's going to be more competition in insurance, more efficiencies are going to be seen in the insurance sector, which has been, not really performing or innovating the way other part of the countries are. So this was the second one. The third was the PSU disinvestment. Imagine such a bold statement that 2 PSU banks will be getting privatized. That's the reason.
Yes, but Rachit, we've seen in the past when the divestment targets, we speak about divestment, and even last year we missed the divestment target because of the pandemic. The years before, we've just missed the divestment target. So while it's such a bold statement to say that 2 PSU banks will get privatized, how much do you see it getting implemented in actuality as well? Yes, the LIC IPO, of course, will happen. But as far as the divestment is concerned, what is your sense? Because that also happens to be a big source of revenue.
Yeah, it is definitely the biggest source of revenue for the government, but it's a win-win for the customer base as well. So it's not just the government raking in money. It's actually getting the efficiencies in the system. And I feel, last year, we shouldn't really blame the government, because what we saw is actually, so it's once in a 100 years. We never saw it, we never witnessed it. But this year, the Indian vaccines have been getting a lot of positive response. And if the government actually executes what the budget, has been presented, I think we are looking at a really great picture. I
All right.
really doubted that government will not disinvest. LIC IPO, I might as well point out towards that. It is a big boom for the entire Indian banking and
Oh, it's
finance
huge.
industry, because LIC is India's jewel, right? And LIC getting privatized will actually open doors to a lot of efficiencies in the system.
Right. I just want to draw our viewers' attention to the budget and why it was special in many ways, because it is being presented amidst the pandemic, and we have to say this again and again. I want to also tell you what this Union Budget 2021 have in store for the common man. Let's begin with what is cheaper. The government, one, has cut down custom duty on gold and silver, making the precious metals cheaper. The goods that are made of steel, iron and bronze have also become cheaper. The solar lantern and solar scrap have also gotten cheaper on the back of the reduction of custom duty. But what is going to pinch more to the common man and what will pinch your pocket is imported mobile phones and chargers, materials that are made out of imported cotton and imported silk. They've all become costlier. Edible oil, imported stones also are getting costlier in this budget. The auto parts and the solar equipment too have gotten costlier. This is coming because custom duty has been raised on those items. Rajiv Pratap Rudy is with us as well. Rajiv, I walked our viewers through what's getting cheaper, what's getting expensive. The biggest doubt that the common man had this time around, right before the budget as well, was as far as the fuel is concerned, petrol and diesel pricing is concerned, and also many other items which people use on a day-to-day basis. While there is not much reason to panic at all, if anything, although there is a farm cess, can we safely say that the petrol and diesel prices are going to remain at the current levels? And also as far as many other items like alcoholic beverages, etc. are concerned, if you could just clear the air on whether we're going to be seeing a change or not?
Well, I just saw a colleague of mine looking to say and speak out that alcohol is going to be costlier, but
that's
because
not
I
true,
have to
right?
still go into the details. But as far as the price mechanism for, I really don't know. Someone mentioned it. I have to check it out. So,
All right.
there are so many things in the budget. Once you start turning pages, for example, and when you're talking about petrol and diesel, I don't think there was any mention about, because it's already on a very close system for a market mechanism which is on for a while. So and with this,
What
I
the
think
fine
government
print
is
really
as of
said, and
now
I just want to say this for the benefit of our viewers,
the
is that the
price.
farm says AIDC on petrol and diesel has been imposed. The basic excise duty, special additional excise duty rates have been reduced. Overall, the consumer will not bear any additional burden. So this is what the fine print really read, which means that there's not going to be change in the pricing for the fuel as well, and that perhaps will come in as a big breather, Rajiv, for the common man as well. For the common man as well.
Yes, because you remember when we had the road cess fund and other things which came, it actually did not go into the pockets, did not draw out from the pockets of the customer or the person who used fuel. So I'm sure the government, the mechanism must have been drawn out, because I did not hear anyone say that the prices are going up. Number one. Number two, if I look at many of the smaller issues with the country needs a national perspective. So since I work with tigers, we saw a huge cut down last year on the National Tiger Conservation Authority, and India has 3,000 tigers, which has become a world asset now, not only for India. And I saw a whopping jump to 250 crores for the projects, which are in 51 national parks. If I look at, for the first time in the history of, and I repeat it and you can check it out, for the first time in the history of independent India, Aerosports, and which I am a small way apart, I have been propping up. Government has accepted it in the budget and given even 1 crore as a token. It never existed in the part of the overall framework of India, Aerosports as a part of the budgetary provision. So if you look into things, there would be many ministries, many departments, many innovations, many activities which have been propped up by the government.
Right.
And I can tell you all what you see
Absolutely.
today
Sanjay
is
Agarwal, the
not,
president of
and
PhD
majority
Chamber
of
of
it the
Commerce,
input
is
of the
also
Prime
with us.
Minister.
Sanjay, if you could tell us what's your sense on capital goods, infrastructure and financials, do you think that these are the sectors that will perhaps gain disproportionately?
You see, capital goods and infrastructure, our strong belief is that whatever is done
All right, let's get him back in just about a bit. But Rachit is also with us. Rachit, we were always talking about the V-shaped recovery when it came to the economic survey as well. But many critics believe that it's not going to be a V-shaped recovery. Rather, it's going to be a K-shaped recovery where you will see a certain amount of financial disparity. What is your take on it?
So my take is, see, future is always uncertain. I mean, it's very difficult to judge if it's going to be a V-shape or K-shape. But even last year, we need to appreciate the government's effort. I mean, when Corona and pandemic, this happened, the government actually gave a lot of good reforms across industries that helped us to sustain. And if the government continues to get better and better reforms as far as industries are concerned, I really doubt it that our growth will really get hampered. In fact, the government has been very proactive since the very beginning. I mean, as soon as they took charge for the second term, I think they have been absolutely working around the clock. They are not shying away from introducing new and new reforms whenever required. So I am very positive that the growth and the momentum will continue to go ahead. I doubt it that our recovery is going to slow down from here because government has taken bold steps in the past, and I doubt that this government will refrain from taking
in the sense of GDP, we saw in the Q1 FY21, we saw because of the pandemic, we were at 23.9, almost minus 24% on the GDP. Then we saw a fair bit of a recovery with minus 7.7 setting in as well. Now, going forward, the economic survey did mention that 11% uptick is what we will perhaps be witnessing going forward. What is your take on that? And that 11% is not a complete plus 11. It'll be perhaps in the range of plus 2.
See, so that
is where our population comes into role, right? 130 crores of people, and that gives us a lot of strength in terms of growth. And when I talk about these numbers, honestly, I saw GST 1.21 lakhs crore of collection. It's great. Nobody actually could have seen this few years back that we'll be collecting such kind of numbers. And more people are actually getting used to the compliances that the BJP government has introduced during the tenure. What is happening is at ground level also, things are getting transparent, things are getting digital. Now, when these things happen in connection with everybody getting a smartphone and internet connection of Jio, that is making a lot of transactions happening with complete ease. And when things happen with complete ease, scale automatically triggers in. What we are looking at is definitely the growth is going to be there as compared to any other part of the world. India is going to sustain from here, and not only sustain but grow. All the campaigns of the government of India, I would just like to point out towards certain campaigns, whether it is self-reliance, whether it is, Make in India or 2024 economy. Every single campaign that the government announces is actually correlated to each other.
Absolutely. I'm going to also request Rajiv Pratap Rudy to hold on, but for our viewers, I just want to draw your attention to the fact that the finance minister made it a point to stress on the government's steps to empower farmers and boost their income. Now, this is coming in the midst of the farmers